What's up, y'all? So today I'm going to give y'all a little insight into my history. So from about the age of 18 to 20, I started getting locked up all the time. And these weren't small charges. Most of them were pretty bad charges, you know. Charges like I got charged at first I got charged at first with attempt murder, and I had a lawyer on at the time on what is it called when you have them already paid for, it's called I can't remember the name. It's not pro bono, but anyway, it's called retainer. I had a lawyer named Russell J. White on retainer. And if anybody knows anything about lawyers in Maryland, Russell White was a famous lawyer. He was on the cover of People magazine. And I started using Russell. My Uncle Michael started using him. And he got me my first charge ever. They gave me attempt murder over the weekend. Then Monday they immediately dropped it down when Russell White showed up in court to a first-degree assault, second-degree assault, and attempt maiming, I believe, and deadly weapon on person. So they gave me it was my first charge ever as an adult. I was like 18, so they gave me a unsecured bail, or a pro bono bail, or whatever they call it. It's called an unsecured bond, where basically you don't have to put any money up once they seen to do Russell White in the courthouse, because I mean he's like a legend in the law field, because there was an old dude back in the day that two teenage kids used to like basically harass and torture on a daily basis. So one day one of the teens put a rock in a snowball and hit the old guy in the head. The old guy ran in his house. He bought a gun to protect himself from these kids because they were threatening to kill him and all types of stuff. Him and his 70-some-year-old wife, he was in his early 80s. He went in the house, grabbed his .357, shot both the kids, killed one, paralyzed the other one for the rest of his life. So my lawyer at the time, Russell J. White, who's passed away, rest in peace, Russell White. Mr. Russell, I definitely miss you, man. But he beat the case. He got the guy totally off, because the kids were actually torturing him for days upon days upon days. This thing has been going on for like 3 years. So, you know, he beat the case and got the cover of People magazine due to the fact that he beat a murder case. And, you know, I couldn't beat a murder case. But anyway, that's another story. But, you know, I used Russell White. So basically what happened was, I'm from Baltimore County. I've lived everywhere in and around Baltimore and Baltimore County. I've lived on the outskirts of Baltimore County. Like, I've lived in Carroll County before. I've lived in Howard County before. I lived in, Harford County before. I lived in Delaware before. But most of them places that I lived, I was trapping in those places. So, I mean, you know, what I was down there for. I wasn't working a normal job. I was just, you know, a career criminal at that point. But I've changed my life since then, so I like people not to look at me as if I'm a criminal. You know, I try to emulate that I'm a good person in any way, shape, or form that I can, and help people out to the maximum of my ability. I'm not going to let people use me, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it happens like that. But it is what it is. I learn my lessons as I go. So today I'm going to tell y'all about my first bit. So mind you, I catch the attempt murder. They drop it down 3 days later, my preliminary, and they give me first-degree assault, second-degree assault, attempt to maim, deadly weapon on person, and something else. So it was a samurai sword, a 32-inch samurai sword. Somebody cut us off on Reisterstown Road. We cut them back off. They kept jumping in front of us, slamming on their brakes. So when we pulled up next to each other at a light, I jumped out. The dude was like 6'7". You know, I'm strung out at this point off of Molly or ecstasy, whatever they were. It was pill form back then. So, you know, I flipped out the sword, showed him. He stepped forward. So when he stepped forward, I slung the sword, like, you know, and I just barely missed him. It and come to find out, I know the dude now. I mean, he's already dude, you know, but at that point, I mean, he looked like he towered above me. So I mean, I felt like I had to use force. So you know, I flicked the sword at his neck. He hops back in the car, scared to death. Now we're trying to get away from him. They're following us. They're following behind us. They lock me up. Anyway, I get a PBJ for deadly weapon intent. So that's basically saying I had a weapon, a 32-inch samurai sword, and you know, they dropped all the other charges. So a PBJ, I got a 1-year PBJ, and no, a 3-year PBJ, and then it would be erased from my record if I completed successfully. But after that, my second case was, I was into the rave scene really heavy. Now, I wouldn't go to the raves. I would go to the after parties. And, you know, basically, I hooked up with this group of people. They seen that I was crazy, willing to do basically anything for money. You know, and he was my plug on the e-pills. He ended up going on Ricky Lake and telling on everyone when he got busted. It's on Ricky Lake. You can look him up. Sean Scheuer on Ricky Lake. You could probably find the exact episode. But after that, come to find out, he was still in the drug game. So he ended up going to make a drug deal at, I think it was I can't remember. It's like a park in Harford County where you can like jump off like the big like the waterfall. You can jump off the waterfall into water that you're not going to hit the bottom and hurt yourself. So he went to go do a drug deal in that parking lot, and he ended up getting his head blown off. So anyway, I'm hanging with these guys. We get pulled over. They flee from the police. We got 2 bottles of liquid acid on us, and I had a 1/4 ounce of weed I've been holding on to for a while because it was a weed drought at the time, which is crazy to say, but yeah, there were weed droughts, you know, back when it was illegal. And so I ended up getting charged with possession. So Russell White comes into court, boom, close it. But when we're in the police station, they pulled both of them into the office, and they told everything about anything. The one boy's brother is a cop. Their last name I'm not going to put out there, but the kid Bill, his brother's a cop. So he told everything, of course. And then they pulled the other kid in there with him, and then they let them go to the holding cell. They got me handcuffed to the rail, talking about, do you got anything else you want to tell us? Because we already got all the information. We know you're the plug. So anyway, I'm like, what? I'm like, no, I don't speak to police. So boom, they put us in a holding cell. He's got all types of drugs shoved up his butt. You know, we're in there, you know, getting high or whatever. You know, we're tweaking out. He had meth. He had liquid acid on him. I didn't do any of that. They didn't do any of that either. I think we all would have had a bad trip. But, you know, I knew they had told on me just from what the police, you know, had said to me. You know what I mean? So basically, I go to court. they dismiss it. It was a possession of marijuana charge. They dismiss it. So, mind you, I'm out Carroll County in Eldersburg jamming. I've been jamming out there for about 3 years. And if you know anything, you know, most of my childhood, I grew up in Randallstown, Reisterstown, Owings Mills area, Catonsville as well. And basically, you know, I'm jamming out there, and 8 people told on me, come to find out, is my motion of discovery. But they told them I was black for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if they thought I was mixed. But I used to get my hair in micro minis, and I had a full head of hair. The most minis I had was like 411 we had counted. It took like 12 and a half, 13 hours to get my hair done in micro minis, like 12, 13 hours. And I get it done, keep it in for a couple days. As soon as it looked a little bit messed up, take it out, wash it, get it done again. So, I was out there for about 1.5 years. They were looking for me. Like I said, I had about a 3-year run out there. And, I mean, mind you, I got buku money saved up. You know, I'm a heroin addict at this point, you know, but I'm still saving money because I was selling hard and I don't use hard. You know what I mean? So, I'm selling weed and hard. And I have the Denny's in Eldersburg on Liberty Road is my station. I would post up there, and the police would allow kids to drink and smoke weed there 24/7. So they never came to this Denny's, and they were fully aware at what was going on. They just let the kids be kids, I guess, you know, you would say. But that's where I was jamming at. So all of a sudden, they came through one night, started locking people up. So after that, I stopped going there for about a week. Everybody had stopped going there. So mind you, I'm dealing with the cook too, and I pick him up every day. Well, come to find out, the cook, well, you know, not come to find out, the cook was one of my regulars, but he also did H too. So I would help him get his H and make money off of him by doing so. So I would not only make money from selling him hard, I would make money from selling him H, supposedly. Anyway, so I go to Denny's one night about 4:30 in the morning. 2 cops are coming out. I got my eye patch on. They're like, hey, are you One-Eye Mark? I'm like, no, man, my name's Mark. Well, what's up? They're like, oh, no reason. I go in there, order a cup of coffee and a piece of pie. And I get about halfway through the pie, and something tells me to go outside. I go outside, boom. It is like 20 cop cars, and they come running from behind the Denny's as I'm going to get in my car. I didn't even unlock the door yet because I just wanted to see. So I had a gun in the car, a 38 special that takes 357s and 38s, and I had 2 ounces of weed and 6 bags of heroin in my in my car. And so basically let me roll this window up so y'all don't hear everything going on around me. But basically I went to they let me leave. They said, can we search the car? I said, this is not my car. This is my grandmother's car. I can't give you consent to search the car. They said, okay, you can go. So once I found out, you know, by the time I had left, my uncle came and picked me up. He's cussing me out, talking about they're going to raid the house, blah, blah, blah. My grandmother had given them consent to search the car. They put a warrant out for my arrest. I waited about 3 days, went in. They let me out on a lower bail than my very first case with the sword, a $5,000 unsecured bond, which is crazy with having a handgun case. And this was right before they changed the Maryland law to 5 minimum mandatory, no parole for a handgun. This is right around they were transitioning to giving everyone a minimum of 5 years day for day. So I ended up using Russell, and we're waiting. I got the cook that works at Denny's. I had him on camera saying the gun was his, the drugs were his. I got him a lawyer, you know what I mean? I was already a felon. Matter of fact, I was already a felon. There was one case I missed. They had raided my house when my uncle moved back into the home. And he, you know, my uncle was a big coke dealer. I'll touch more on that at one time other than this time. So basically let me out on this low bond. I'm out here fighting the case. I waived my Hicks rights. And I was fighting the case. It was going on about 8 months now. And you know, that's a long time to be uptown fighting a case. So boom, basically I'm driving around. Now mind you, I'm still hustling, but I'm giving all my work to my man. I'm not gonna say his name. He's never been busted a day in his life. I'm giving all my work to my man. So basically, you know, I'm having him hustle it. I'm still making what I'm supposed to be making. He's not making a bunch of money, but he likes to party. So he's keeping the money straight. Plus he had a great job. He was a body mechanic for cars. So anyway, basically, they bust me on that kid. They bust me on a house raid. I got caught with 2 pounds, 2 ounces of weed. I'm on probation for that. I got probation for that one. And mind you, I tried to take all the charges. They found an SKS in the house. The handgun that I got caught up Denny's with was in the house when they raided. My grandmother put it in her panties and put her robe on and was holding the gun in place the whole raid. And they didn't find like $32,000. They didn't find a bunch of drugs, but they did find 3/4 ounce of coke, and they did find 2 pounds, 2 ounces of weed. So I got probation for that. Now I'm on probation, and mind you, they're still investigating me out Carroll County. I pull up to the Denny's. They get me at the Denny's. They let me out on no bond on probation, which is a crazy thing. And they really wanted to find my plug and probably thought I was going to rap, but I didn't either. So anyway, I'm riding around, and mind you, I'm still carrying a gun. You know, I'm beefing with a bunch of people. You know, when you got beef, you got to carry a gun. So, you know, I'm beefing with a whole bunch of people, and I'm driving around with these 2 little kids. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Chris. Rest in peace, Chris. But Chris's dad's name was Lou Weiner. And Lou was a confidential informant. He got busted about 3 years prior with over 7,000 rounds of ammunition, grenades, and all he got was home detention. I'm not putting 2 and 2 together that he's probably a CI or a confidential informant. I didn't even know at the time, but my neighbors were his plug. They were from Jamaica. They owned the house. All they did was keep weed in the house. When the house got raided, they found 600 some pounds of weed. If I'd have knew all that weed was in the house, I'd have took it all, and they would have never knew who it was. There weren't any cameras like that back in the day. There were, but not cameras like you could pull up on your phone or anything like that. There weren't smartphones back then. Anyway, so basically, I go, I get busted for the Denny's. They give me a low bond. I'm on probation. They shouldn't even give me a bond. That's what made me hip. But I'm still stupid, still riding around carrying a gun. But I got the kids, Chris and Matt. Rest in peace, Chris. But I got them carrying the gun for me, and I'm buying them food to eat. Mind you, I'm working a part-time job at Giant in Columbia. Unbeknownst to me, They're doing investigation in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Howard County, and Carroll County, with Carroll County leading the investigation, because I was in that little part of Carroll County, which is called Eldersburg. And basically, so I go to serve. Now, mind you, Chris's dad, I didn't know was an informant. I go to serve him. He gets me to come to his house and sets up the deal. The whole time they're filming me and video recording me, setting the deal up. So I call him the night we're supposed to do the deal. He's like, "Nah, I don't want to meet at my house, blah, blah, blah." He's told me a street to meet him. I didn't know it crossed over into Carroll County jurisdiction. When I crossed the bridge of Nicodemus Road into Carroll County, it was 9 police waiting for me, 6 undercovers and 3 regular police with a canine cop and a canine on set. So boom, they bust me. And I had a pound of weed, an 8-ball ready, and then back in my house I had 7 8-balls out of an ounce. So basically, they went back there, found the hard, supposedly, or maybe not. I don't know. They say that one report said they found something, one report said they didn't find anything. You know, some cops are crooked. You know what I mean? But anyway, I had H there. They didn't find any of that. But, you know, mind you, I didn't get out for 2 years after that raid. So they gave me a no bond. You know, I'm trying everything to get out, just to get to that H, man. I swear to you, that's all I used to think about. Because if you notice, I've been through some traumatic, you know, accidents. You see my face, you see my nose is crooked, and this is after 5 reconstructed plastic surgeries. We'll get into more of that at another date. So mind you, I'm backing up 3 years on probation for the marijuana bust for the 2 pounds, 2 ounces. So I get in total 3.5 years, 18 months in Carroll County Detention Center and 2 years DOC. So back then in Carroll County Detention Center, mind you, I've only been locked up for like 3 days in my whole life as a juvenile, because my peoples had drug money. They would always get me out on house arrest. You know, my peoples had businesses, all types of stuff through the proceeds of drugs. And basically, you know, I get 3.5 years in total. So in Carroll County, you would do 15 months on 18. Now you only do 9 months. Back then they gave you no good days. So I had to sit out Carroll County 15 months. Mind you, I've never been locked up. I'm a crash test dummy. Anytime somebody tells me to beat somebody up or somebody did something foul, I would jump on their ass. I didn't win all of them. I definitely didn't lose all of them. I won more than I lost because it's a soft joint, you know, but then I get I do 15 months on 18. I get sentenced to a rehab on the 18 months. My lawyer got me pulled back in. I go to court for the probation violation, and he gives me 2 out of the 3 years while I'm at a rehab. Everybody's like, "You're good, dog. You're not gonna get no time." I say, "Yo, I got Judge Levitt's in Baltimore County. If anybody knows, you know, he was the worst judge out there." So I get another 2 years tacked on top of them, which means consecutive. So it's 18 months and 2 years. So I did my 18 months, then I went to go do my 2 years. They put me in for a drug program, and they shut the drug program down before I went there. So anybody who was sentenced to that drug program through Department of Corrections, you got to go parole on your parole date as if you completed the drug program. I just had to do the rest of the program uptown. So mind you, I went to the compound. You know, I knew how to bit by then. People told me everything to do, what not to do. People put me up on game, as you call it. But I've only been knocked out 4 times in my life. I've been hit with weapons, all types of weapons, stab, shot. You know, my face, look at my face. I didn't even get knocked out when this happened with my face. And I'll tell you guys about that in another video. So the only problem I had in DOC, and this was up on the hill, which is like, it's like a honor building. So, basically, I thought this old dude was a whore. He had tobacco like that. It was a tobacco drought in the jail. I called him a bitch like 2-3 times in the morning. Now, mind you, I didn't know all this. The man had been locked up for going on 25 years. He had 25, no parole. He was cut up like a bag of dope, old white dude. And, basically, so I slept on him. I'm thinking he's soft. You know what I mean? I'm looking at him like he's an old white dude. I didn't know he's done stabbed people up in his 25-year bit. You know, I didn't know all that. So he waited all the way till the nighttime. He tapped me on my shoulder. I turned around. He hit me in my temple. I was in my shower shoes because we're in an honor building. Who walks around strapped up in an honor building? Not me. Oh, I do now, but... So when he hit me in this temple, I came out, my shower shoes flew out of him, and my other temple hit the wall. It knocked me completely out. When I came to, I had him by the neck so close, he's like 30 feet, speed bagging me. I'm talking about like, wah, 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 wah. Man, so I push him away. Now he can't even reach me. So I started hitting him a couple times, but I'm so punch drunk. I go back in the cell. My roommate hands me this big ass knife. I'm like, man, I go home in a week. I went back in the bathroom. They thought I was just going to be a biatch and, not do anything after he knocked me out. So I went back in the bathroom. We started scrapping. It was an even match, but he had his homeboys in there, so some of them jumped in too. But even with them jumping in, because at this point I'm fighting against everybody. You know what I mean? But they just wanted to get me up off their homeboy because he was like 52 or something. I ended up seeing him on another bit, and I swear he acted like we were like this, because at that time I was a gang member and I held a lot of weight with the organization. So, but anyway, that's my first bit. From Carroll County Detention Center to from Carroll County Detention Center to Hagerstown, the new jail, MCTC, Metropolitan, Metropolitan Transitional Center. That's what it's called, MTC. That's on Roxbury Road. I can't remember the exact address, but I did about 8 months, and then I went home from there. But I went from the compound where stuff gets real, stabbings, hot stuff thrown on people, all types of stuff. So anyway, so I go home. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that one. I'm gonna tell the story of my next bit.